Welcome back, socialites. So we're going to play in some makeup today. Yesterday got me really excited for today because I tested out the new Sephora collection skin tint and I loved it, y'all. It's really good. I'm thinking it might bump my favorite out of the way, which is the Hourglass Veil. I love that skin tint, but something about the Sephora one. So we're going to start off with the e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer, which is one of my favorite primers, y'all. I'm going to start off with this. I've already done my skincare and moisturize with my Clinique Moisture Surge, which if you're not new here, you know that's been my go-to lately. So I'm going to apply this one in the areas where I see the most pores, which is usually like my cheek area. And I like to go over the forehead too because it does slightly mattify for me and help control oil a little bit. But the foundation was really long wearing even without a primer. So I know I don't have to like go in with the big guns or anything like that. If I can spare the time, I usually like to wait 2 to 5 minutes after primer before I go in with foundation. Before foundation, I'm going to be doing sort of like a mixture. The Charlotte Tilbury, her newest foundation is called the Unreal Skin Super Glow Tint. It's like a skin tint, but it's in a stick form. But what's unique about it is you can see how clear it is, but it also delivers almost like a slight golden glow, which is very different for a foundation. But I thought, let's try this underneath our Sephora collection skin tint and see if it gives a, how it looks on the skin. So let's go in. You see how sheer this is? No matter how much of this you put on, you're not going to be able to get much coverage. So this is for somebody who already sort of has good skin. I don't want to say good skin, but really good skin, because without texture too, when you have these sort of luminous products, it sort of emphasizes texture. So for me, this is almost for somebody who has really good skin already. So to blend this out, I'm going to use this buffing brush from Walmart. It's the Equate brand, and I'm just basically pushing this into the skin. So this is how the Charlotte Tilbury looks on, and I do have a full review up of this product. You can click on that link up there if you want to check it out. Sephora collection skin tint. It's called the Real Skin Tint. I have it in the shade 250 Deep. Squeeze out about this much, starting off in the areas that I need the most coverage first. Yesterday I went in with 2 layers of it when I did the review of it. So let's see like what we're gonna do today, because the Charlotte Tilbury may have served as like a good base. And with what's left over on the brush, I'm just gonna sort of blend it over the forehead because I don't need much coverage on the forehead. So you definitely see the glow through the product. And if I wanted to fully cover it, I would still need a second layer. So that Charlotte Tilbury really didn't, it didn't help cover much at all. Like I would definitely need to go in with more or either concealer. For concealer, I'm going to use my Haus Labs concealers. I have shade 40, which is the deeper shade, and then shade 34, which is a tad bit lighter. And these were the concealers that were on my makeup tray. So we're going to use 40 as like that transition. And then in the inner corners, we're going to do 34. And to blend this out, I'm just going to use like a basic puff. This came in like a pack, like one of those inexpensive pack from Amazon. So I blend the darker shade first. And then let's go ahead and blend the lighter shade. And Haus Labs also gives you about a medium coverage, similar to skin tints that we use today. So you can still see through it. It's not like super opaque. But if you wanted more coverage out of it, you could get full coverage with this. So it's medium to full. You would just have to go in with one more layer for that. Going in with the Milani Cream Contour in the shade Spicy Season. This is another one that's on my makeup tray this month. And so I'm going to use that same buffing foundation brush from Pkwy. This is a really good brush, by the way. So if you're in Walmart and you happen to pass by the beauty aisle, you probably won't be disappointed if you pick this one up. Even though it's called the buffing foundation brush, I feel like I like it a little bit more to do cream contour or maybe cream blush than I do for foundation, even though it works well for foundation because of the size of it. So going back in with the same foundation brush, the Sephora collection number 88 brush, I'm just gonna tap over the top, just basically all around where I put the cream contour, just to make sure it's a seamless blend and we don't have any harsh lines anywhere. And the same thing with the forehead. Now lately I've only been doing cream contour bronzer like on the sides, and then I sort of tie it together like maybe like this at the end, but I don't really apply the product across the forehead anymore. So for blush, I'm going to use the Huda Beauty blush. This is the liquid blush in the shade Watermelon Pop. It looks like this, a little tiny little applicator. You know what? I just realized that this looks almost exactly like the new blush from About Face. Like it has a tiny little applicator like this, has slight reflex in it. It's a little bit glowy, but not a whole lot. So I like to apply this on the back of the hand first because that applicator is just not my favorite. It's really small and it's hard. So I'll just apply it on the back of my hand, and then taking my Sephora collection number 99 brush. See the shade it blends out to? Smells sweet and fruity. So to set our highlighted areas, I'm going to be using the new Makeup by Mario powder. This one's in the shade Neutral Peach, and it almost just looks translucent to me. It does have a very slight peachy undertone to it. So I'm sort of stamping it on the back of my hand so that I know it's smooth and not too much product. Looking down, making sure there's no creases with our concealer. And going over the smile lines too. So I'm gonna brush up my brows with my e.l.f. brow gel. It's like one of those laminating brow gels. I'm going to fill in my brows with the Sephora collection micro brow pencil, and I use the shade Soft Charcoal. I think the neighbors are getting a new roof or some type of major construction because it is so loud. So hopefully this audio isn't messed up when I go in to edit. Okay, so I saw Michelle did a video, and I'll pop her channel up here, did a video, and I don't think it was a makeup tutorial, but whatever the video was about, she had like a brown smoky eye with a blue liner at the top, and it was so pretty. So I did a little Ulta haul yesterday, and I picked up, and I didn't even know this came out, but Rabanne, like Paco Rabanne, has launched a new foundation. And if you know anything about Paco Rabanne, their makeup quality, the brand in general, but their makeup quality is excellent. Very much underrated. You don't hear a lot of people talk about it, but I picked up their new foundation in 60N. So we'll probably do a review of this maybe either tomorrow or the next day. This is the pencil I picked up. It's the LA Girl Ultimate Intense Stay Auto Liners, and I've never used this liner before from LA Girl. I don't know if it's new, but I've never bought one of these type of pencils from LA Girl, and it's in the shade Ending Navy, and I did want it to be like a deep navy or cobalt. Oh man, I broke the tip. Deep navy or cobalt. So this is one you probably can't turn up very much and it's creamy, so that's what it looks like. So I'm gonna work from my Juvia's Place Coffee Shop palette because it has a bunch of really nice browns, and I'm pretty much just gonna do a mixture of probably the lighter ones in the crease and then the deeper, darker ones on the lid, because I do want it to be fairly smoky. So I like to do the crease shade first because it just makes whatever your bold lid shade for me to lay down easier without having to do so much blending. So I'm going to use the Sephora Collection Pro Crease Brush. This is the number 27 brush. This is a 10 out of 10 eyeshadow brush. You know how when you do your makeup and you look to wherever you keep your brushes and you're like hoping that it's one of those brushes, like you're one that like, ooh, I hope that one's clean. That's what this one gives. Like, ooh, I hope this one is clean for the crease. So pro tip is when you get the product on your brush, you tap off the excess. Wherever you place your brush first is going to apply the most amount of product. So start blending it on the outside rather than blending here, because you don't want it to be too bold and pigmented up here. This is where you want a really seamless blend. So start here blending and work your way up. That way it's sort of naturally faint up there. I wish I had like a dark brown base because I want it to be really smoky. I might have to stop by Ulta and get one of those NYX jumbo pencils in brown. I thought I had one. So I'm going to use this A29 brush from Makeup by Ariel. It's a sort of flat shader brush that's slightly fluffy on the tip, and I'm going to take the darker browns in the palette and really pack it on because I want it to be really deep. And as I hit like midways of the eye, I'm using the tip of the brush because this tip is a little fluffy, just to sort of blend it out. That way it's not too bold here. We don't want to take it up too high and it just takes over the whole eye, you know? So taking our blending brush that we were using, the Sephora Collection Pro Brush, we're going to use this to soften the line. And I don't want too much color going so far up. So I'm going to take this little MAC palette that I have. And this shade is called, I think it's called What Clout. And because it's so soft, I'm going to use this to sort of help soften that line. So taking the LA Girl pencil. It's pretty, but I don't think she used a brown eyeshadow as smoky because her blue popped a lot more than what mine is doing. But I'm still not mad at it. It's still something different. But I think next time I try this, I'm going to use a brown that's not as dark. So I'm going to use the new Charlotte Tilbury mascara. This is the Exaggerized Volume Mascara. And this one does really good at creating volume, making your lashes fuller and separating. I'm going to use that same blue liner in the waterline. So I also want to let the liner slightly touch the skin on the outer third of the bottom lash line. That way it would be easier for the brush to grab onto it and smudge it out. I'm not sure if she had her bottom lash line smudged, but I wanted to add that little touch. I like this pencil. It's creamy and it gives you enough time to smudge it out without it drying on you. And it doesn't tug your skin. You know how some pencils can tug your skin. So let's zoom back out. Back into the Juvia's Place Coffee Shop palette, I'm going to take that lightest color of the palette and just put it in my inner corner. The Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I'm going to use this just to set underneath the eye. This one is in the shade 02 Medium. The Charlotte Tilbury Sheet to Sheet Blush. I'm going to use the darker shade on the outer edge just to amp up the blush a little bit, not too much. I love this with the blue. Don't you feel like that complements the blue so well? I don't know who I am this month. I've really been into playing with the color. It looks so good. And it looks like I'm stamping it on, y'all, because it's a really light hand. That's the way I'm able to sort of fade and blend at the same time. We don't want to pack a lot of punch, right under the eye. It helps me to apply it in a very soft way. So I'm gonna take the Fenty Beauty lip liner. This one's in the shade I Wouldn't. And I'm gonna go in with Paco Rabanne's lipstick, the T. And it's sort of like a cool tone brown, like a medium brown. The NARS press powder in the shade Offshore. I think this is like the soft matte. And I'm gonna use a big fluffy brush, lightly set all over. Juvia's Place gloss in Honey Honey. Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Spray. So this is the look. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the tutorial as much as I enjoyed planning this makeup. If you're new here, welcome. I would love for you to come join the family by hitting the subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one. 'Cause I've been where you are. You're too scared to show me love. 'Cause too fresh with the scars. Well, I don't have the answers.